Ultimate Partner Experience Community. I'm Vince Menzione and the founder and leader of Ultimate Partner. Excited to welcome all of you. Really excited to welcome our feature presenter today, my good friend Reis Barrie, the co-founder of Carve Partners, both an expert in this space, in this co-selling space, and also an Ultimate Partner ambassador. We had the pleasure of having Reis join us for Ultimate Partner Live, leading our workshop session on co-selling. I'm also excited to have him coming to Boca for our May 30th event, where he'll be participating in a co-selling, operationalizing co-selling workshop and participating with many other leaders from Microsoft and other experts in the field of partnering and co-selling. Reis is going to lead a session on best practices to leverage Azure Marketplace for growth. Reis, I'm so excited to have you here. I want to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Super excited to be here, Vince. It's great to be in front of the community and talking about one of my favorite topics, which is Marketplace. Second favorite topic, growth. Actually, that's probably my first favorite topic, but let's dive right in. As always, with all of my presentations, I have a ambitious agenda. So let's jump in and start talking about how to leverage Azure Marketplace for growth. Just a quick background. You can see me there at Vince's event in Dallas. It was an awesome event. Quick background on Carve. Essentially, keep it simple. We help you extract as much value out of your Microsoft partnership as possible by leveraging Microsoft ecosystem, co-sell, benefits and incentives that are out there for all partners to leverage. That's our one thing. We specialize in one thing, and it's helping you extract value from your Microsoft partnership. My promise to you today, you stick with us for the entire duration. You're going to learn a bit more about using Marketplace to grow. That is the title of it, as it is. So that makes sense. Engaging Microsoft sellers, super important topic. How do we successfully engage Microsoft sellers? As well as I'll leave you with some actionable takeaways. And I don't even think I told Vince this, but we're going to do some free giveaways at the end too for our people here live. And so hopefully you stick with us till the end, get some free stuff. I always like to do a quick level set here. In FY24, and if I was a gambling person, I would say in FY25 as well. One of the biggest values of Marketplace is Microsoft co-sell. So Microsoft has put really a stake in the ground in how important Marketplace is and made it a huge part of their sales community and their sellers rhythm to drive sales through the Marketplace. And so what that means is for partners that are leveraging Marketplace to sell, whether you're a services partner doing reselling or you're an ISV selling your solution, it's a huge value prop for you to be able to pull in a Microsoft seller, and they're that much more likely to engage when it's a Marketplace deal. A bit of the why. I think most people have seen this stat from Canalys, but huge growth through Marketplace, and we're really only at the beginning. This is like one of the more conservative stats that we see in terms of growth that we'll likely see through Marketplace. This is $45 billion by 2025. Which is a huge compound annual growth rate. And so 84%, if you think like US stock market is usually around 9%, 84% annually is quite huge. And so really big on the why, just as a whole, why Marketplace. I like to get into a bit of the details in this slide. So we're going to spend a bit of time on this particular slide, but the value prop to kind of the three big people, which is the partners, customers, and Microsoft sellers, as it is. And so if we focus on this value prop to partners, I always like to say Microsoft is a huge company and they're trying to scale through their partners, right? And so if they make, pennies on the dollar in comparison to what you make, but they're happy making pennies because they're hit at a huge scale. And so there was a great study done by, I believe, GPS Worldwide, showing how much essentially an ISV makes $10 for $1 that Microsoft makes in their kind of partnership transaction. So huge value of Microsoft wants you to make a ton of money, and they're there to help you make a ton of money, obviously, because they value from Azure consumption, marketplace transactions, all that stuff as well. But in the equation, you are really the one that is a huge beneficiary of this equation. Microsoft is huge on their channels. Like it's called the Microsoft ecosystem for a reason. And so they want you to enable you to scale, whether you're a services partner through your ISV channel or your ISV through your services partner channel, with features like MPO or multi-party private offer. We're going to get a bit deeper into this in a couple of slides here as well. The last one, the last two bullets, I should say, on this value to partner slide should just be dollar signs. They incentivize behaviors that they're trying to drive in their partner ecosystem. Selling through marketplace, there's tons of cash, whether that's FY24 transact and grow incentive, which, frankly, that one's ending quite soon as we're getting towards the later months. And so we'll see what happens in FY25, if it comes back or not. But huge value if you're new to selling on marketplace, you can still take advantage of those. That's just cash incentive for doing your first couple of transactions via the marketplace. And then marketplace rewards is a huge one. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars available in Azure credits in like a tiered model for selling through marketplace. These are dollars that you can leverage that a lot of partners I've seen leaving on the table. So huge value to partners. Customers, I'm going to stick to a few here. But really, the ability to decrement their MAC or their pre-committed Azure spend, huge one, right? This is one of the bigger value props and one of the bigger, buying decision influencers that we've seen this year of partners with these larger MAC commitments, spending more money than they would have naturally spent, or spending it faster than they would have naturally spent. To buy solutions via the Azure Marketplace. So customers' ability to decrement their MAC dollar for dollar, no caps or anything like that, is fantastic. As well, we're a bit earlier in the adoption curve of Marketplace to recognize the last bullet here, which is like speeding up purchasing deployment and being that being that more scalable solution. So but the value is there. It's a very streamlined process of purchasing and procurement. And so over time, as customers adopt it more and more, and you get the primary mode of procurement through a marketplace, it'll really see a lot of returns there in terms of customer value. And then finally, for Microsoft sellers, huge value for them, as in this first one up here. They get paid selling ISV partner solutions. This is how they retire their quota. It's a huge benefit for a Microsoft seller to engage with a partner who is selling through marketplace, and help them sell their solution, as it's dollar for dollar up to $1 million in their quota retirement, which is huge, and it's instant quota retirement and a consumption-based metric, which is always highly sought after. And of course, like once you hit again that more scale motion, that ease of procurement just shortens sales cycles and makes every seller wants to shorten their sales cycles when they're selling, makes renewals very easy and whatnot. So I spent a lot of time on this particular slide, but huge value overall for all the parties involved in marketplace. And next, we're going to jump a little bit closer, a little bit further down the line, and just look for ISVs and services partners, your avenues for co-selling via marketplace. So for ISV partners, this one's quite simple, but essentially getting your solution transactable on marketplace. In the next slide, we'll show some benefits as well. But getting your solution transactable marketplace, which if you look at this last bullet on the right-hand side here, that is required to be IP Co-sell incentive eligible this year. It's a new requirement this year, showing Microsoft's dedication towards marketplace. And then for services or resellers, you can either act as like almost what I would call like impersonate an ISV, which is obviously very possible. You can also resell using something like MPO or multi-party private offer. And so we're going to get a little bit deeper into both of those. For ISV or services partner, like kind of impersonating an ISV type solution, there's plenty of services partners that have their own IP and publish them as transactable solutions. What you're really focused on here is number 3, number 4. And so becoming a Microsoft partner is great. Getting access to Partner Center, publishing your solution, also great. But meeting the criteria to become incentive eligible. Incentive eligible is essentially what means you can decrement max, customer MAC, and you can incentivize a Microsoft seller to work with you or sell your solution via quota retirement. And so the biggest thing here is either selling $100,000 on the marketplace. That's like a barrier to entry. Or if you're like a SaaS solution and your solution is consuming Azure on your own tenant, you can, if you have over $100,000 in trailing 12 months consumption, that'll get you over the benchmark as well. Number 4 here is that what Microsoft refers to as their top tier partner program. This is essentially meant for partners who have a high capability of selling through marketplace. There's not a ton of benefits this particular year. I want to call out because they did do a bit of a change in January. But I would really more so pay attention to FY25, so that July timeframe, to pay attention to what are the benefits that they unlock, that unlocks the top tier partner program next year. This year, it's the ability to report back Cracker, a partner reported ACR, which is huge value if you're a SaaS partner and you want to make sure that sellers are getting ACR credit for your solution. But I would expect some more benefits in FY25 attached to this. Right now, getting an IP Co-sell incentive eligible will satisfy a lot of the engagement demand from the partner side. Next one, I'll talk a moment about MPO or services resellers and how they tap into MPO. There's probably a lot of hype. People have probably heard a lot of hype about MPO right now. Currently, it's only available in the US. However, they are doing a private preview right now in UK and Canada. And so a lot of hype on like LinkedIn, different Microsoft channels from MPO right now, or multi-party private offer, hoping to go live within UK and Canada shortly after in FY25. But what is it essentially? So MPO allows you as, say, like a reselling or a services partner to sell an ISV solution with, say, the customer that you may hold the end customer relationship with, or maybe you're selling you're reselling an ISV solution with your services attached to it to an end customer. What MPO does is it lets the ISV pass through a private offer directly to you, say the services or reseller type partner. You can then layer on any margin or layer on any services to that deal, and then ultimately pass it through to the end customer. And what happens there is the end customer gets a private offer from you, like on the services partner's paper, versus, say, the ISV direct, like on their paper. Because again, the services partner is the one with in this case, the one with the end customer relationship. And then ultimately Microsoft handles the billing and the distribution of all of the collected dollars. And so Microsoft bills the customer. Microsoft then pays selling partner their services and margin, and their ISV their percentage for licensing as well. And so it's a really big ecosystem play. If you remember back to the slide around the Canalys study, I believe they said 1/3 of that revenue, that $45 billion, will happen through a channel, which would be through an MPO type of engagement. So a lot of activity, again, channel driven ecosystem. And so MPO is a huge value. Again, hope to see kind of rest of the world come pretty soon after we see the UK and Canada launch in hopefully early FY25. This next section, got about 15 minutes left or so, we're going to jump into some best practices. And so best practices for leveraging marketplace. and engaging sellers at Microsoft. So I've got 3 for you here. We're to start with pipeline. Pipeline is quality. Pipeline is king. I'm going to get my next slide is going to be the mantra that we share with our portfolio companies here. All the partners that we manage here at Carve. We've got a bit of a mantra, especially when we first engage with them. But quality pipeline with clear ask. This is super important. Number one thing you don't want to happen is, like, I think we all know the boy who cried wolf type of story. You don't want to be sharing pipeline that is aspirational, and then have a Microsoft seller reach out to you once, twice, 3 times. And then it's not a real deal, just looking for an intro. You want to share quality pipeline, real opportunities with clear ask. This is super important to be engaging Microsoft sellers. They talk quite often, and so the brand of sharing aspirational opportunities circulates the seller community quite quickly. And so our mantra for all of our managed partners here, if it's not in Partner Center, it's not real. Microsoft is a data-driven company. They feed off of the data they see in Partner Center. You might have some relationships here and there, and you can maybe call a seller here and there. But to co-sell at scale, everything has to be in Partner Center. Because again, Microsoft is a data-driven company, and you want to really co-sell. You're trying to expand beyond just your existing relationships at Microsoft. And so I'll give you our mantra here. Number 2, want to just call out, make it easy for them to engage. When I say them, I mean Microsoft sellers. There's a notes field in Partner Center. It's probably one of the most underutilized field that there is. There's also a marketplace intent field in Partner Center. Basically, Partner Center asking, is this likely to go via marketplace or not? Keeping your deals up to date. Again, on the kind of quality pipeline front, and then having quality bill of materials. And so bill of materials that speak to the Microsoft seller in Microsoft sellers like Microsoft language. And so I often say treat Microsoft like a customer when you're trying to partner with them. And so for your customer, you have customer facing marketing material. Have Microsoft seller facing marketing material. Your battle card, your seller pitch deck, all of these things. Having these things ready to help educate them really quickly on your solution and help just really get to the point really fast. Super important when doing this. And then back to the notes field, just want to call out that this is one of our first steps when we engage any partner, is cleaning up their Partner Center and getting their notes field and their bill of materials kind of pulled together. And so adding notes around what is it that we're asking the seller to do? What's the value to the Microsoft seller for engaging here? Simply adding some of these things, oftentimes we see Microsoft sellers engagement double overnight because they understand what the deal is about. They don't have to ask a bunch of questions. And so ultimately we're just kind of serving things up very easily and consumable for them. And so don't miss this crucial step of adding the notes field in Partner Center. It will change everything if you're leaving it blank today. And then lastly, for our best practices, I often recommend, especially if it's maybe you haven't done anything via the marketplace before, is start small. I don't think anyone here is telling a company to only transact at the marketplace tomorrow, or the day after, the week after, even next month. We're at the early stage of adoption curve for marketplace. And so if you haven't done a deal through marketplace, like just prioritize a couple deals, find your top deals, find maybe the deals that are with Mac accounts. Prioritize a few deals and start to build up your capabilities. And with transacting through marketplace. It doesn't need to be this gigantic shift over to everything marketplace overnight, but 1-2 deals at a time. By the time you know it, you'll be doing 10% of your pipeline through marketplace, then 20, and then by the time you know it, a year, 2 years, you'll be a marketplace, almost 100% through marketplace over time. The big thing is just to start. This is like where some of the biggest friction I see is people not starting. And so just start somewhere, start with one deal. Because I guarantee by the time we get to the end of the adoption curve or even mid adoption curve, you're going to start to have customers asking to transact your marketplace if you haven't seen it already. And once you have customers starting to ask, you don't want to be the one who has never done a transaction through marketplace. And so be on the front foot. I put together this little drawing. It's a bit amateur artist here on my whiteboard, but really we really are at the very beginning. And so we're in the early adopters phase. Being an early adopter, it doesn't mean to shift your entire business to marketplace, but it does mean to start transacting through marketplace. Because again, once your customers start asking you to transact through marketplace and you've never done it, you're a bit too late. And so you want to really have the capabilities to do that. And lastly, we're gonna wrap up with some takeaways, some actions. What can you do? So, first action for ISVs is to go activate your benefits. Get IP Co-sell incentivized. Make sure your solutions are published. Get them transactable. There's plenty of resources to get solutions transactable out there. You can even, there's a free resource Microsoft allows called ISV Success. Search ISV Success in your browser. It'll come up. Very, very easy to engage them. But get transactable and get incentive eligible. These are your first two steps to starting to recognize value from co-sell and marketplace. For services and resellers, which there it is. For services and resellers, activate MPO. And so I have a little hyperlink here. I think we'll share the deck after here, but after this talk. But get activated with MPO. It's very easy. Pretty much anyone can get MPO eligible. In I think it's around 5 steps or so. But activate it. You get put on the list, and Microsoft can see that you are an MPO eligible partner as well. Every ISV has access to that list as well, and can see if you're an MPO eligible partner. So a good way to get your name out there as MPO eligible and can transact through MPO. Lastly is leverage your presence. And so this is like essentially building your brand within Microsoft, so that you are just known as this high value partner. And then Microsoft seller relationships just come quite easy. And so the things that I mentioned today around best practices will all give you really a good brand within Microsoft. Having the MPO eligible and the IP Co-sell eligible gives you a great brand within Microsoft. And so to me, co-sell is all about building that brand and kind of marketing yourself and your company to Microsoft sellers as effectively as possible. And so huge value here to just continuing to do consistently well and build that positive brand, as Microsoft sellers talk very often. And they have tons of internal discussions around partners that are doing really well, easy to work with and whatnot. And the brand spreads crazy good. Lastly, I promise everyone here that if you stuck around to the end, we'd give away some free stuff. And so if anyone does want, we'll give away two free workshops, 2 of each. You can use email value@carpartners.com. We can give away 2 foundational co-selling for ISVs. We can give away 2 MPO workshops as well for service partners or ISVs looking to activate their channel. And so shoot me over an email, ping me on LinkedIn, whatever it might be, but value@carpartners.com. It's probably the best way to get engaged with the team. They'll take the first 2 for each category that respond. And then lastly, we're also doing a promo right now with Microsoft. If you have a Teams app, you are eligible likely for $10,000 in that Transact and Grow incentive. And we're partnering with Microsoft to make it make Teams application ISVs ultra aware of this incentive and help them make sure that they are enabled and eligible and getting the money that's on the table for them. So again, if you're a Teams ISV, email over to value@carpartners.com. We'll get you set up with a free workshop to make sure you're getting the $10,000 from Microsoft if you're eligible for it. So with that, that is the end of my content. Very much appreciate the opportunity here to talk to you about Marketplace and growing with Marketplace and Co-sell.
Hey, Reis, that was fantastic. Hey, I have a question and then we'll open it up because we have a couple minutes left. But you talked about building your brand, right? Once you get your data right, and you've operationalized and gotten some success, what are some tips you would give in terms of how these partners can build their brand better with Microsoft?
Totally. So I actually talked a bit about this at your event in Dallas, but one, I would say I'll give you a couple of things. I'm not going to limit myself to the number, but I'll give you a couple of things. One, that the bill of materials that I talked about. And so just having quality bill of materials that speak directly to Microsoft and Microsoft sellers. Like when you send that one thing, imagine a seller is going to send it to all of his or her friends. And so having quality bill of materials, like a battle card that just speaks to you, your capabilities, your solution, your type of like your target market, stuff like that, spreads like wildfire. Really, really great thing there. Another one I'd just say is treating each referral like it is a piece of content and putting high quality content in. Once you have a win, even if you didn't co-sell with Microsoft, say that you sold it by yourself, reach out to the Microsoft seller and say, hey, by the way, we just won this deal in your account. You should see this much hitting your quota retirement. If you have any other customers you think would be valuable for us to chat about, I'd love to hear them. Or if your peers have other customers. And so just constant communication, follow up, having clear bill of materials, and having really clean pipeline and partner center, I think are the way to Microsoft sellers' hearts for sure.
Nice. Yeah, open it up to, we have a few people on the line still, and we've got about 3 minutes left. So we'll just open it up if there's any questions from the audience.
Hey, Reis. You had mentioned, once you get the ball rolling with your marketplace listing, you can engage with the field sellers and it becomes a little bit easier. Do you have any other suggestions, the best ways to engage with the field?
Yeah. So I think to me, it is, I'm trying to get back over here. So I think it's this slide. To me, the best way to engage with the field, actually outside of just the notes field, is just learning how to talk their language. And so one is it's maybe learning how to talk their language is probably one thing. And then two things, having a bit of grace with them, because we live in such a fast-paced communication cycle these days that it used to be Microsoft would make a change. They'd communicate it internally. The field, Microsoft would have 6 months to kind of adjust. Sellers would have 6 months to learn, adjust, all of these things. And now pretty much sellers find out everything the same time you do as a partner. Sometimes you find it out better because they want to communicate their partners quite well. So I'd say a little bit of grace and just understanding that they're still learning too. But to me, being the expert and knowing how to talk their language is like you'll win their hearts over instantly. And just understanding kind of like what's in it for them. You have the better together stories. It's better together for a reason, because there's a better on both sides. And so obviously as a partner, most times you would understand you're better. It's also really valuable to understand Microsoft and Microsoft sellers better as well. So you can help articulate both sides of the equation.
Thanks again. This has been a great session. We've recorded it, so we'll put it out there for all of our viewers, listeners, LinkedIn participants, and Ultimate Partner Experience members. So great to spend time with you today. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you all.